Ransom software, or ransomware, is a type of malware from cryptovirology that threatens to publish the victim's personal data or perpetually block access to it unless a ransom is paid. Last year in 2020, approximately 304 million ransomware attacks took place. There are tons of ransomware in the wild like WannaCry, Revo, GangCrab, just to name a few. Many ransomware differ from one to another, but they all share the same concept. When a ransomware is executed, it starts by generating encryption keys at runtime, or getting the encryption keys from the executable. Some ransomwares have the encryption keys stored in the executable itself. Then after that, it will send the encryption keys to a command and control server which the ransomware developers control, to make sure when the victim pays the ransom, he can get his files back with a decryptor or so. After that, it encrypts all of your data with a variety of different encryption algorithms, like for example AES or RSA or RC4, or even custom encryption algorithm that is written by the ransomware developers, or even combine them all to add layers and layers of obfuscation and make it almost impossible to reverse engineer. After the encryption process is complete, the ransomware executable will delete itself at once to make sure no one reverse engineer it to uncover its secrets. So why it's almost impossible to reverse engineer ransomware encryption? Well, because you will need the encryption keys that were used in the encryption process to decrypt all of your encrypted files. I coded a simple ransomware in Python to demonstrate to you how the whole thing works. And this is a flowchart that explains how the Python ransomware that I coded works. We will look at the code and explain later in the video, but now let me explain this flowchart to you, just to see the bigger picture. We will start by generating the encryption keys at runtime. We will generate a XOR key, Aes Encryption key, and the initialization vector key, or IV. The XOR key will be a 16-byte or 128-bit randomly generated. The Aes Encryption key will be 32-byte or 256-bit long, and it will be the SHA-256 sum of the XOR key and the 128-bit randomly generated key. The initialization vector, or the IV, will be 128-bit randomly generated. After we generate all encryption keys, we will extract the MAC address of the victim machine to use it later for decryption. Then we will send the encryption keys along with the MAC address to our command and control server. Again, we will use it for decryption. After that, we will begin encrypting all files. We will first XOR encrypt each file individually with the XOR key. Then we will use AES-256 CBC encryption mode to encrypt the XOR data, and finally save the encrypted file to disk. Let's look at the code to understand all of that in depth. We will start by importing some modules here. The request module to send the keys to the command and control server, the base64 module to base64 encode all keys before sending them to the server, the URL lib module to URL encode the base64 encoded data before sending them, hashlib to calculate the SHA-256 sum for the Aes encryption key, binASCII to hex encode row bytes, gitMAC to extract the MAC address of the victim, OS to recursively get all files inside the directory that we will encrypt, color module to add colors to the output, and finally the crypto module to use Aes encryption, pad to add padding to the Aes blocks if necessary, get random bytes to randomly generate row bytes for the encryption keys. We will first instantiate the ransomware class and will run the Encrypt method and will pass to it the directory that we will encrypt. This directory has some files and images and subdirectories which will be encrypted. The Encrypt method will first call the generate keys method. In the generate keys method, we'll start by generating a random 8-byte key. The AES block size here equals 16, so 16 minus 8 equals 8. After that, hex encode the random 8 row bytes, which will result to a 16-byte long key. Keep in mind that when you hex encode 1 byte, like for example the letter A, its hex representation will be 2 bytes. So that means when we hex encode 8 bytes, that means the end result will be 16-byte string. After that, we'll generate the AES encryption key, which will be the SHA-256 sum of the XOR key and a randomly generated 16-byte key. All of that will result to a 32-byte or 256-bit key. Then the initialization vector or the IV, which will also be a 16 bytes long key. Then extract the MAC address of the victim machine. By the way, to install this module, just run pip3 install git mac. Then call the save keys method. And the save keys method will send the encryption keys along with the MAC address to the command and control server, which is running on localhost on port lead. And will send everything as a post data to the save keys endpoint. The encode keys method here, all what it does is just base 64 encode each key and URL encode the base 64 encoded key, because there are some bad characters in the base 64 encoding mechanism. This loop here to get all files recursively inside each subdirectory. You can imagine it by running the tree command inside the directory. Then pass each file with its absolute path to the encrypt method. In the encrypt method, we start by opening the plaintext file in read bytes mode, then hex encode all bytes, then close the file. Then we XOR encrypt each 16 byte of the file individually with the 16 byte XOR key, and store the ASCII representation of each XOR byte in the XOR data variable. Then we create a new AES instance with the encryption key we generated and the initialization vector, and we'll use the CBC or cipher blockchain mode. Then encrypt the XOR data with AES and add the necessary padding with the pad method. Remember, we XOR each 16 byte of the file individually with the 16 byte XOR key, and after we XOR every last byte of the file, we pass all the XOR data to AES to encrypt it with some crazy math to get back ciphertext. Finally, open the same file again, but this time in write byte mode, and override it with the ciphertext. The command and control server is running Flask and SQLite 3. When the encryption keys and the MAC address sent to the save keys endpoint, we will URL decode them and insert them in the keys table. The keys table consists of 5 columns: ID, which is auto-incremented, the MAC address, the AES encryption key, the XOR encryption key, and the initialization vector. The app here is listening on port 5000 on all interfaces. I will have this command and control server running inside a Docker container. The Docker file for this image is really simple. It's based on Ubuntu image. Once the container is built, it will install pip3 and SQLite 3 and copy everything in a C2 server directory to the C2 server directory inside the container. Then set the working directory to the C2 server directory and install Flask in the requirements.txt file. And finally, you run the server. The keys.db file here is just a simple SQLite 3 file that has one table in it, which is the keys table. Build a Docker container with docker build-t and give it any tag name and a period to refer to the current working directory, which has the Docker file. After the build is complete, run Docker images to make sure you have the image built successfully. Then finally, run the container with docker run-p lead 5000. We will map the port 5000 inside the container to port lead on the host machine. Then -- name and give the container any name. And finally the image name. Once the container is up and running, run the ransomware. Now when we run the file command on all files inside the directory that we just encrypted, we will notice that the file command doesn't recognize the files anymore. When we even check the entropy of any file, you will notice that it's almost equal to 8, which means this file is completely random compared to a normal file like etc passwd, which is around 4 to 5. By the way, you can get the encryption keys by getting into the container with docker exec-it and the container name, then bin bash. Once you are inside the container, run SQLite 3 and open the keys.db file and select everything from the keys table. In the next video, we will write a decryptor for this ransomware, so stay tuned for this one.